When a man has lost the feeling of love, even if the woman becomes more beautiful, he still cannot love her again. Is that right? Welcome to the Love Strategist. From the perspective of a relationship psychology expert, I do not speak about love through fairy tales. I speak about what is truly happening inside the human heart, where emotions do not operate according to surface logic, but according to the depth of connection. And today, I am going to tell you something very real. Something that may not be easy to hear, but needs to be clearly understood. When a man has lost the feeling of love, a woman's physical appearance is almost no longer powerful enough to pull his emotions back. Many women, when they sense emotional distance, often react instinctively. They take better care of themselves. They try to become more beautiful. They believe that if they become more attractive, the man will feel the spark again, like in the beginning. But love does not function like an on-off switch, controlled by visual attraction. Attraction may begin with the eyes. But love only survives when there is emotional connection, respect, and the feeling of being chosen every single day. When a man has lost the feeling of love, the issue is no longer whether the woman is beautiful enough or not. The issue lies at a deeper level, where emotions have gradually cooled down, where the connection has stopped being nurtured, or where small wounds have accumulated over time. To understand this clearly and maturely, we must separate three different emotional layers in love. Because not all emotional coldness is the same. Not every silence means the end. And in the Love Strategist, we do not only talk about emotions. We analyze the structure of emotions. We examine the inner dynamics of men and women. We understand why love can begin intensely, but can also quietly decline. Now, let us go deeper into the three emotional layers, to know exactly when love can still be saved, and when you need to save yourself first. 1. Men love through the feeling of connection, not only through visual attraction. Yes, men are attracted to physical appearance. They respond quickly to visual stimuli. They easily notice beauty, charisma, and femininity. But you must understand one important thing. Attraction is not the same as love. Attraction is a reflex. Love is a choice. Attraction can happen within the first few seconds. Love is the result of hundreds of hours of emotional interaction. We need to clearly distinguish three different layers. Physical appearance creates attention. A beautiful woman makes a man look a few seconds longer. But that look is only the starting point, not the foundation. Personality creates interest. Charm, the way she speaks, intelligence, and subtlety make him want to continue interacting. At this stage, emotions begin to form, but it is still not love. Understanding and connection create love. When he feels understood, respected, and able to be himself without being judged, that is when real love truly has a chance to be born. Love is not built with mascara, lipstick, or body shape. It is built with the feeling of safety when being together. Therefore, when emotions have dropped to the level of emptiness, when a man no longer feels inner connection, a woman becoming more beautiful can only make him think, she is beautiful. But that is completely different from, I want to love her again. A man can acknowledge beauty. He can give compliments. He can even feel proud walking beside an attractive woman. But if his heart no longer vibrates, if being next to her no longer makes him feel peaceful, excited, or energized, then beauty remains at the level of aesthetics, not emotion. Because love does not live in the eyes. Love lives in the feeling of being beside that person. It is the feeling of wanting to tell them a small story from your day. It is the feeling of missing them when they are not around. It is the feeling of being understood without having to explain too much. And when that is gone, changing appearance can only touch the eyes. It cannot touch the heart. 2. When emotions have closed off, beauty cannot reach the inside. There is a truth many women do not want to hear, but if you do not face it, you will keep searching for the wrong cause and fixing the wrong place. When a man has fallen out of love, most of the time, he did not stop loving because you are not beautiful enough. Not because you gained a few pounds. Not because you no longer dress the way you did at the beginning. Men may be attracted to beauty, but they leave because of emotions. They fall out of love when The feeling of respect disappears. When everything he says is contradicted, when he feels that he is always wrong, when he no longer feels recognized as someone valuable in the relationship. A man can endure pressure from work, finances, and society, but if he comes home and still feels not enough, his heart will gradually close. Admiration fades away. A man's love grows in an environment where he is looked at with trust. When a woman no longer believes in his ability, no longer feels proud of him, no longer looks at him with the softness she once had, he does not just lose motivation, he loses connection. He no longer feels like a man in the relationship. Man here does not mean control or dominance. It means feeling needed, allowed to lead, to protect, to contribute. When everything he does is seen as expected or not good enough, he begins to withdraw, not from the relationship immediately, but from his emotions. Or, more simply, the emotions have dried up after too many small accumulated wounds. Not one major shock, but hundreds of small disappointments. Hundreds of times of silence instead of dialogue. Hundreds of times of feeling misunderstood. Love does not die because of one argument. It dies because of the repetition of things that were never healed. And when it reaches that point, even if the woman loses weight, wears more beautiful makeup, dresses more seductively, he still does not feel the spark. He may notice the change. He may even give compliments. But inside him, nothing moves anymore. Because what he is lacking is not an image. What he is lacking is inner emotion. It is the feeling of connection. It is the feeling of being respected. It is the feeling of being chosen, not controlled. And if that inner part is not restored, every external change is like repainting a house whose foundation is already cracked. If you want to understand a man's love, do not only look at what his eyes are looking at, look at what his heart is still feeling. 3. However, there is one important exception. Not every cold distance means the end. There are men who have completely closed the door, but there are also men who are simply cooling down, meaning their emotions have decreased in intensity, not disappeared. And those two states are completely different. If a man is only cooling down, tired, pressured, discouraged, or feeling disconnected, the emotional door is still slightly open. In that case, positive change from the woman can create a new stimulus. Not physical stimulation, but emotional stimulation. But remember this carefully. It is not a change in appearance. It is a change in energy. Energy is something a man can feel even when you say nothing. It is the aura when you walk into a room. It is how you respond when he becomes silent. It is how you face yourself. Real change comes from within, becoming more confident, not loud, performative confidence. But inner stability. You no longer panic when he texts less. You no longer overthink when he needs space. You are emotionally steady within yourself, and that steadiness creates attraction. Controlling less. When women fear losing someone, they tend to control more. Ask more questions. Check more. Compare more. But control does not keep a man. It only makes him want to escape. When you release control, you do not become weaker. You become less predictable. And men are stimulated by what they cannot fully grasp, needing less validation. A woman who constantly needs to hear, "Do you still love me?" will unintentionally push a man away. But a woman who knows her own value, who does not need daily proof, creates curiosity and respect. Having an attractive life of your own. When your life revolves entirely around him, he feels pressure. But when you have your work, friends, goals, passions, he begins to feel, "She has her own world, and I am not the center of it." And that is when he starts wanting to move closer again. Men do not come back because you are more beautiful. They may come back because you no longer need them. When they feel that, you choose to be with them, not cling to them. You love them, but are not dependent on them. You can live well even without them. Then your value in their eyes changes. Love does not return because of begging. It returns because of a repositioning of value. And sometimes, what makes a man see you differently is not that you try to hold on to him, but that you are calm enough to walk forward if necessary. It is that calmness, that inner composure, that makes his emotions begin to move again. The real question is not, if I become more beautiful, will he love me again? because many women, when they sense emotional distance, automatically turn the issue toward themselves. Am I not beautiful enough? Have I lost my attractiveness? If I become prettier, will he come back? But the truth is, the real question is not, if I become more beautiful, will he love me again? That is only a question born from insecurity. A question born from the fear of being replaced. A question from someone trying to fix herself in order to keep someone else. The right question should be, does he still want to invest emotionally in this relationship? Because love does not survive because of beauty. It survives because of investment. Investment of time. Investment of attention. Investment of effort to understand. Investment even in uncomfortable moments, yet still choosing to stay and work through them. A man who still loves even when the relationship is difficult will still look for a way. He may be silent for a while. He may feel confused. He may feel awkward, but he does not let go with indifference. On the contrary, if he no longer wants to invest, then no matter how much you change, all your effort becomes one-sided movement. You become more beautiful, he notices. You become gentler, he sees it. You try harder, he knows, but he does not participate in the process. And love can never survive on one side alone. One person pulling, one person standing still. Eventually, the one who pulls becomes exhausted. Love is not a competition of who tries harder, nor is it a self-improvement project to keep someone else. Love is two people both wanting to hold on, both wanting to fix things, both wanting to stay. So before you ask how much more beautiful you need to become, ask yourself, is he still proactive? Is he still making an effort? Is he still afraid of losing you? If the answer is no, then the issue is not your face. It is his decision. And when someone no longer wants to invest emotionally, the most mature response is not to become more beautiful to hold him back, but to preserve your self-respect. Because you deserve someone who does not require you to change in order to be loved. From the perspective of a relationship psychology expert, I want you to look at this issue with clarity, not pessimism, but not illusion either. First, if a man has truly fallen out of love, meaning his emotions have completely closed, no desire to connect, no need to share, no motivation to repair, then beauty cannot save that love. You may become more attractive. You may surprise him. You may make him look at you a few seconds longer. But a glance does not equal emotional vibration. Recognition does not equal the desire to return. When the heart has left, the image is only surface, and love is never revived by surface. Second, if he is only tired, emotionally cooled down, then the story is completely different. There are phases when men withdraw inward because of work pressure, insecurity, feeling not good enough, or because the relationship lacks space to breathe. In that case, the emotion is not gone, it is only covered. In this situation, a shift in a woman's energy can create an opportunity. Not change to please, not change to prove worth, but change to return to a better version of herself. When you become more grounded, more calm, less clingy, less controlling, he begins to feel the difference again. Not because you are trying to keep him, but because you no longer emit the energy of fear of loss. And the energy of not being afraid to lose is always attractive. But there is a very important boundary you must remember. If you have to completely change who you are in order to be loved, to suppress your personality, to pretend to be softer, to constantly tense yourself to become the version he likes, then that is not the right love. The right love does not love you because you are perfect. It loves you because you are yourself. If someone can only love you when you transform into someone else, then that person loves the image in their mind, not you. So the most important thing I want you to understand is this. You do not need to become more beautiful to be loved. You do not need to become more perfect to be chosen. You do not need to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's expectations. You need the right person, someone who still wants to invest, still wants to stay, still wants to build with you. Love is not a chase between value and validation. It is the meeting of two people who both want to walk toward each other. And when you meet someone who still wants to love, you will not have to ask, am I beautiful enough? You will know, I am loved because I am myself.